Join Donald for straightforward conversation, meaningful analysis, and advice to brighten your day. Grab your wife and kids and hang on for the ride of your life.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. I'm so glad to be here with you. Man, I could use a break. This world's going crazy. You had tragic bombing in New York today, and we've got wildfires, one coast to the other coast, wildfires in California. But fortunately, the guy who made the bomb didn't know what he was doing. That's good. He was a suicide bomber. He didn't even kill himself. That's good, I guess. He didn't kill anybody else. So, man, what a crazy, crazy world. And then we got fires galore. L.A., Los Angeles, Ventura, San Diego. And the crazy thing about it is people have been talking a lot about the wind and, how dry it's been out there. And one thing they usually don't talk about is the foliage. Did you know that the foliage we have growing in California actually explodes? It's made to blow up. I mean, talk about, nature making a bomb. That's crazy. But it's, what happens out here in our part of the world is that fires sweep through every year. They're supposed to by nature. And then they burn the ground. They burn all the foliage, and that turns into fertilizer, and then it regrows. It's the whole cycle of birth and regrowth, and the way it's been going on for thousands and thousands of years out here in California. But then we get a bunch of people and move out here, and they move right in the middle of it, and they don't take care of the plants and the weeds like they should, like keep them way away from your houses, because our native plants out here are, they're just built to blow up. So it's ridiculous. And so the fires, once the Santa Anas get going, the dryness, that's true, the wind is true, but the plants themselves are combustible. They have special saps that cause them to actually spread the fire faster. So it's important to take that into consideration. If you buy a house out here or you live out here, make sure you've got some weed abatement going on. I know a few communities that have hired herds of goats. They go out there and the goat will eat everything, and they eat everything in its path. And so they clear the foliage. Smart way to do it. I remember they used to have a house up in Claremont, and up in the hills up there, they would get the goats, and then they had to get some dogs to chase away the mountain lions. The mountain lions wanted the goats, but it's better than the whole hillside burning down. So got to take care of the foliage, the weeds, the special kinds of trees that just out here in California that blow up. Anyway, so the holiday season, man, it can be hectic and it can be wonderful. It's a time that, we ought to be trying to have peace and, bring ourselves to a state of calm and relaxation and enjoying our families and, becoming, maybe a little more spiritually inclined. That brings us joy and happiness and peace. So I have a couple of ways that you might want to do it. Number one, I've been talking about this for a few weeks. The Daughters of St. Paul are having they're bringing their annual Christmas concert to Los Angeles, the first time in 22 years. It's called Love Among Us. It's going to be at the Veterans Memorial Complex, December 15th and 16th at 7:30. You can get tickets at daughtersofstpaul.org. They still have some, but that's coming up. I mean, that's in 5 days. You got to hurry up and get your tickets before they sell out. I mean, they have played in New York. They're going to play this year in New York. They're going to play in St. Louis. They're going to play in New Orleans. The first time in Los Angeles, first time in 22 years since they've been doing this show that they're going to do it in L.A. So that's daughtersofstpaulchoir.org. daughtersofstpaulchoir.org. Get your tickets there. Oh, man, I got to, and another thing, I don't know, but if you want to go to some place and watch Aztec dancing and mariachi music, which I actually like both of them, maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's mine, and get your spiritual inoculation, I suggest going to the Church of the Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, because they're having Our Lady of Guadalupe Mass, and they're going to have Aztec dancers, a very, very good group, and an awesome mariachi band, and it's going to be great. I don't know if you knew this or not, but Our Lady of Guadalupe is the patron saint of the Americas, from all the way from the tip of Canada down to the bottom of Chile. So, yep, it's a pretty awesome event, and quite spiritual, and also entertaining because of the dancers and the mariachis. And if you've never been to a mariachi mass, you got to go at least once to say you did, because they're pretty awesome. Anyway, so that's all the stuff I got. Yeah, that one's going to be at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Beverly Hills tomorrow night at 7:00. So you can check that out. Oh, got breaking news. I got some really, other than the fires and the bombs, I got other breaking news. Pope Francis did not try to change the Lord's Prayer. Yeah, that's been all over the news. Oh, he's changing the prayer. Whatever. It's a classic case of the Pope saying something and the media distorting it. My favorite apologist, Jimmy Akin, wrote a little piece on that. He said, newspapers and websites erupted all over the weekend with the headlines like this: The Lord's Prayer, Pope Francis calls for change, from the BBC. Pope Francis proposes change to the Lord's Prayer, from AOL News. Pope Francis wants to change the Lord's Prayer. Here's why, from Catholic.org. Pope Francis calls for the Lord's Prayer translation to be changed, from the Catholic Herald. And Jimmy Akin writes, shame on all of them. The Pope didn't call for any changes. This is a classic case of the Pope saying something and the media going hog wild and completely distorting it. So how did it all start? An Italian television aired an hour-long interview with Pope Francis in which he was asked about a new version of the Lord's Prayer in France. And you can watch the entire interview online, especially if you speak Italian, because it's in Italian. But so what did the French church do? They adopted a new translation of the Lord's Prayer for use in the liturgy, and it went into effect on the first Sunday of Advent, which is why Pope Francis was being asked about it. Basically, they changed the line that in English reads, and lead us not into temptation, to one that means, do not let us fall into temptation. And what did Pope Francis say about this? He reportedly said, the French have changed the text, and their translation says, don't let me fall into temptation. It's me who falls. It's not him who pushes me, him being God, who pushes me into temptation as if I fell. A father doesn't do that. A father helps you to get up right away. The one who leads into temptation is Satan. Various accounts also report him saying that the, quote, lead us not into temptation rendering is not a good translation because it's misleading to the modern ears. So he isn't saying that he's trying to, he's not trying to impose a new translation on everybody. No, commenting that a translation can be misleading is not the same thing as mandating a new one, writes Aiken. People have grown up with the Lord's Prayer, and changing it is a big deal. The French bishops thought it was worth making a change, but it's also up to the local Episcopal conferences what they want to do in this regard. But the New York Times went on to say, the Pope suggested the Italian Catholics may want to follow suit. So guess what? The Pope did not try to change the Lord's Prayer. So sorry, lamestream media. So, it's funny because we're getting this every year. It seems like we get this thing about Christmas. I got to keep Christ in Christmas, keep Christ in Christmas. And then I read this article about how Americans are in love with pornography. So in 2006, there's one porn site called Pornhub, and they had over 90 billion video views and over 44,000 visitors to that porn site every minute of the day. It adds up to over 500,000 years worth of porn being consumed in 12 months. And you know what? If you want Christ back in Christmas, you better start changing your ways. I'm not kidding you. Do a little prayer, a little meditation, maybe get off the porn site. Be good to your family. Take care of one another. This is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. We'll be right back.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM.
Some combinations were just meant to go together. Chips and salsa, refrigerator and freezer, the internet, and those cute little cat videos. At State Farm, there's another combination meant to go together, home and auto, as in combining your home and auto insurance with one agent, which leads to another combination, saving dollars and cents. Your State Farm agent, the DeSalvo Insurance Agency, is here to help life go right. Combine home and auto and see how much you can save. For more information, call the DeSalvo Insurance Agency at 310-553-0241 in Beverly Hills, or find him on the web at BillDeSalvo.com. That's BILLDISALVO.com.
Hi, this is Donald Carpenter. You know, I've written a pretty interesting book. It's called The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, How to Defend Your Family in Any Economy. To pick up a copy of The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or the website FamilyManSMVSG.com.
We want to share a secret with you. There's a new and revolutionary way to bring the Earth's most effective organic plant extracts directly to your skin in a pure and healthy way. Lule Botanicals utilizes a breakthrough process called supercritical plant extraction. Your skin will radiate vitality and health like never before. No one wants to kiss an alligator face. Now they won't have to. Visit us on the web at www.lulebotanicals.com. That's LULEBOTANICALS.com. To get your 20% discount, use promo code LLB20.
Dr. Tatsuo Hirano asks, why suffer and ignore your pain and illness? Stop it before it gets out of control. Acupuncture is like fresh air, revitalizing your body and mind. Dr. Tatsuo Hirano, renowned acupuncturist to the stars and world-class performing artists, will help you get back to optimum health. To explore the healing arts of Oriental medicine, call Dr. Hirano at 818-244-2287. The first 20 callers will receive 10% off their first visit. Just say Donald Carpenter sent you.
Berndorf Law Offices, located in Los Angeles, is an employment, counseling, and litigation boutique law firm for California employers and executives. Employment laws change almost daily, and penalties for noncompliance are substantial. If you're an employer in Southern California and need assistance navigating the waters of employee relations, legal aspects of human resources management, or need defense against a lawsuit, our lawyers can help. Find us on the web at berndorflaw.com. That's BIRNDORFLAW.com. Or on Twitter at Law4CA Employers.
This is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. And so you know what? There's a lot of ways to start preparing your Christmas holiday. And one of the ways we talk about all the time on the show is building community, doing things for others, sacrificing yourself for others. I've got a woman on the line named Terry Matthews, and she is amazing. Hi, Terry. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I am excellent. You know, I was reading your bio. I'm going to read it for some of our listeners, a little bit of it. There's no stopping you, is there? That's pretty.
I've been told a time or two I'm missing breaks.
Yeah, in the best way possible. Terry's an amazing entrepreneur and has embarked on adventures from construction to consulting to clothing. She's currently the president of Matco Construction, Inc. She owns and operates Clean It Solutions, Inc. and TM Partners, LLC, a consulting firm where she deals with high-profile clients. Additional businesses includes a healthcare company, ORI Home Care, an inspirational clothing line called Gravity and Grace, a brand focused on forgiveness and humility. Sounds like it's right up our alley here at the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. And she's in partnership with ICANN, a community of women seeking female empowerment and representation in the corporate world. One of her biggest inspirations comes from her son, Jaden, who was diagnosed with autism at age 3, and now he's 11 years old. And Terry has dedicated time and money to ensuring that Jaden receives the most advanced therapies available. And she founded Jaden's Voice, Inc., which can be found at jadensvoiceinc.org in 2010 to help others affected with autism. Now, Terry, how do you find the time?
I think that's the magic question I get all the time. I always jokingly say I'll sleep when I'm dead. So, the thing about it is that there are a lot of needs that need to be made, and all of those wonderful, things that you were able to name. I've owned different companies in the past, but I think once my son was diagnosed with autism, my purpose and reason for even creating additional companies were different.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those companies that you mentioned support people either A, that are diagnosed with autism, or their family members who care for them that are dealing with raising a child on the spectrum.
Uh-huh.
So, everybody needs a job because, unfortunately, autism doesn't discriminate, which, doesn't care how much money, socioeconomic status, right, relationship, religion, ethnicity, it just doesn't care. And life doesn't care either. So
Right.
people still have bills to pay.
No, absolutely. Yeah, so I understand you're also launching a television show that's dedicated to this issue?
Absolutely. So one way I have been praying and asking God to, which ways could we help get the message out? And I have been offered TV opportunities a lot of times, and a lot of those opportunities didn't just kind of align with my core values as a person, a human being.
Right.
And so I did not take those opportunities. And then one morning, I woke up and my assistant ran in my office and she said, I had a dream, that I'm supposed to be helping you with this show. And I didn't even tell her about the show. So, God has a miraculous way of talking to us all. And as I was sitting there, we started talking about this. And at first it was going to be something where I would basically review products for families, because products cost a lot of money. And even if you have the money to buy it, you might not have the time to go send it back if the product doesn't work. And it's just a big headache. And then it went from there, and it was so many other ideas that, we have 2 centers in Africa.
Right.
And so we were like, we teach a lot of underdeveloped countries and our military families how, when they don't have access to resources, how to use what they have.
Right.
So we thought, what if we could bring this and put this in everybody's home?
Yeah.
And how, instead of talking about all of the sad things that are associated with autism, what if we talk about all of the cool things, too, that are associated with autism? And so it just spun off from there. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity and this platform to be able to share and showcase autism.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, wow. I mean, you got my head spinning, because I'm a big fan of, my whole family's like, I had a dream last night. And we come back with some, I mean, listen, if you would have asked me a year ago, do I want a radio show? I would have basically said, what's that? And then within one day, I had an invitation and a sponsor that just covered the whole thing. And it was just, I was driving home going, man, this is just amazing. So Family Man's Finance Show, Faith and Finance Show, that was the birth of it. And we talk a lot about, family unity and pulling your lives together and sacrificing for others and how to really make it work. And it sounds like you're right on that in both, because people are always, they wonder, how can they combine their faith life with their work life? And I'm like, well, if you give it a little effort, it's not that difficult.
I agree. I mean, I think we're all operating in our purpose, right? Because we're not just here, and we're not just here by accident.
Mm-hmm.
God has a reason and a season, and He's intentional about everything that He does. So, I didn't initially look at autism as a gift. I look at autism different. Although I had a relationship with the Lord prior to my son being diagnosed with autism, and he was the last of 3 children that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So he's my youngest, and he's 11. But what I learned about autism was it challenged me in some of those areas that I didn't even know existed in my life. So it brought me closer, I feel, with my relationship with God. It increased my faith. Again, it challenged me in a lot of areas. I thought I understood unconditional love. I thought I knew that. I felt like I wasn't judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing when you have to go through these things. And so I put on a different set of glasses. Instead of the why me, I now say thank you, Lord, for choosing me.
Right.
And I'm hoping to share that same healing and hope message to many people in the world. Our show, to me, is going to be a little bit of what we call prescription TV.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is just to promote awareness, but also I can't hide God. He's relevant. He's evident in my life. And this is an opportunity that I feel like, I'm going to be able to show just how talented our kids are, and God makes no mistakes. So if somebody has a kid on the spectrum, it's not a mistake. You're not being punished. It's just something we have to go through. And Paul says we all had a thorn in our side.
Yep.
This might be one of your thorns.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, you got me thinking about, how the cross entails some suffering, but it's also the path to the resurrection. So, most people might not want to go through Good Friday. Everybody wants to go through Easter Sunday. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you have to take that path, and if you can turn it around in your own mind, and you can turn it around in your own heart, and through the grace of God, find the way to make your burden a blessing, and especially a blessing to others. I think you're on the path of kind of doing what the Lord wants you to do, wants all of us to do. I mean,
amen.
Yeah, Jesus said it. He said, in this life you will have troubles, but take heart. I have overcome this life. And so.
Yes, he has.
Yeah,
amen.
Thank you. So
I love it.
Thank you. I need to back up a second. I need to know more about autism. So tell me about that. How does it start? Where does it come from?
So uniquely enough, they don't know where autism comes from. There probably is no cure for autism.
Mm-hmm.
1 in 68 children are diagnosed with autism. And it's very difficult, here around the world, because I've actually had a global perspective, from dealing and working in other countries to see what autism looks like. And, is it different in other countries? Is it different in other places, spaces around the world, religions? No, it's not. So there are similar characteristics in all kids that are on the spectrum. Typically, there's a lot of difficulty in communication. We call it a spectrum because you could have a very high-functioning kid, which basically means this kid can communicate their needs to a certain extent, right? And they have a higher level of independence, all the way down to a kiddo who is completely nonverbal with that needs a lot of assistance.
Right.
But again, it's a spectrum, and no autistic kids are alike. You could have a kid that's very high functioning but nonverbal. You could have a kid that's very verbal and low functioning. Like there's just similar characteristics in all of them that typically stem from sensory issues, and mainly communications. Those are the characteristics.
Okay, so what makes I guess the public's perception of autism is a movie like Rain Man, okay? And we get that. You see the YouTube videos of this, one particular person that they say has autism, and they saw a skyline view of New York, and they drew every single building and every single road and everything from memory.
Yep.
And so I'm wondering, how are we to perceive autism? Because we usually see it in this fantastic way.
Well, it's very difficult because autistic kids don't have anything on the outside that really indicates a child's on the spectrum, right? So a lot of them, people always say, well, what does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll visit in just a moment the gentleman from New York who did those amazing drawings. But as an example, this particular, these kids don't have like Down syndrome. Down syndrome kids you can see right off the bat. Okay,
right.
Because there's a facial expression that they have, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just is associated with their diagnosis. But autistic kids look just like everybody else's kid. It's not just until you go to communicate with them that you can see that typically they're not communicating at a level that you would expect, or there's typically no communication at all. But all autistic kids, no matter where they are on the spectrum, they all have unique gifts. Sometimes I kind of equate it to, it seems like all of their brain cells or every area of their body, instead of it being equally distributed to areas, sometimes it goes to one. This is Terry's theory, by the way, but it's almost like as if it comes to one area where they're super gifted. So that gentleman can't pick up a phone and maybe call somebody, but all of them have the ability, they think in pictures. Their memories are like incredible, and most people don't even realize 4 gentlemen were actually very instrumental in helping find Bin Laden.
Hang on.
When we found him.
Hang on, Terry. We're going to come.
They were autistic.
We're going to come right back. I want to hear more about this. This is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. We've got a great guest, Terry Matthews. We'll be right back.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM.
Some combinations were just meant to go together. chips and salsa, refrigerator and freezer, the internet, and those cute little cat videos. At State Farm, there's another combination meant to go together, home and auto, as in combining your home and auto insurance with one agent, which leads to another combination, saving dollars and cents. Your State Farm agent, the DeSalvo Insurance Agency, is here to help life go right. Combine home and auto and see how much you can save. For more information, call the DeSalvo Insurance Agency at 310-553-0241 in Beverly Hills, or find him on the web at BillDeSalvo.com. That's BILLDISALVO.com.
Hi, this is Donald Carpenter. You know, I've written a pretty interesting book. It's called The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, How to Defend Your Family in Any Economy. To pick up a copy of The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or the website FamilyManSMBSG.com.
We want to share a secret with you. There's a new and revolutionary way to bring the Earth's most effective organic plant extracts directly to your skin in a pure and healthy way. Lule Botanicals utilizes a breakthrough process called supercritical plant extraction. Your skin will radiate vitality and health like never before. No one wants to kiss an alligator face. Now they won't have to. Visit us on the web at www.lulebotanicals.com. That's LULEIBOTANICALS.com. To get your 20% discount, use promo code LLB20.
Dr. Tatsuo Hirano asks, why suffer and ignore your pain and illness? Stop it before it gets out of control. Acupuncture is like fresh air, revitalizing your body and mind. Dr. Tatsuo Hirano, renowned acupuncturist to the stars and world-class performing artists, will help you get back to optimum health. To explore the healing arts of Oriental medicine, call Dr. Hirano at 818-244-2287. The first 20 callers will receive 10% off their first visit. Just say Donald Carpenter sent you.
Berndorf Law Offices, located in Los Angeles, is an employment, counseling, and litigation boutique law firm for California employers and executives. Employment laws change almost daily, and penalties for noncompliance are substantial. If you're an employer in Southern California and need assistance navigating the waters of employee relations, legal aspects of human resources management, or need defense against a lawsuit, our lawyers can help. Find us on the web at berndorflaw.com. That's BIRNDORFLAW.com. Or on Twitter at Law4CA Employers.
Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. You know, we talk a lot about the craziness going on in this world, and trust me, there is some crazy stuff going on in this world. We got fires and bombers. We got all kinds of terrible stuff. I mean, what was it? 2 weeks ago, there was a sexual predator behind every door, everywhere. And we have answers. We have answers. It's like, it starts here. How about love one another? How about treat each other with dignity? How about treat each other with kindness? How about sacrifice your life for someone else? You're starting with your family, starting with your husband, your wife. Extend it to your kids, extend it to all your relatives, extend it to your friends. Just take care of one another and love one another. I've got a lady on the line, Terry Matthews. I think she's living this out, man. I'm really impressed. Am I wrong, Terry?
No, I'm with it. That's for sure.
Yep. I mean, you have a son. He's autistic, diagnosed when he was 3, Jaden, and he's now 11. And you've been working with him and others to help bring attention to the issues and solve some of the problems, yeah?
Definitely. I mean, we work at our organization to bridge gaps with services. A lot of families are in need. Our hearts have always been for families, but this coming up year, we have a strong focus on making sure that we are focused on the family unit and making sure that parents aren't forgotten about, because there is life after autism.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, you were onto something before the break that I've just got to hear more about, and that was that there were some autistic individuals involved with the search for bin Laden?
Absolutely. So, we spent a lot of time looking for individuals, finding and tracing the steps of bin Laden. And of course, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that happened, but actually at the White House, there were four gentlemen all on the spectrum where they had taken the material already that a lot of our high intelligence had been using to track and trace the steps of bin Laden. And because of the areas that they're gifted in, they were able to geographically help navigate our soldiers there and identify very quickly where he was, just based upon their unique talents and abilities and skill set that a lot of people don't have, and in the way that they have it, because typically autistic people are very hyper-focused in certain areas wherever their gift and talent is. And so, yes, four gentlemen who were on this project were autistic, and it's amazing to me that they don't talk about this more, but it's probably because it was classified information.
Right.
But yes, they were the ones who were the people to finally identify and give direction to our United States government officials to find him.
That's absolutely amazing. I have never heard this story before, and it sounds like a book and a movie. It's something that
absolutely.
That sounds like a really wonderful story.
If you can get past all the red tape of the government, sure.
Well, that's true too. But it's a wonderful story. And you said that you had some exposure or experience with the gentleman from New York, with the artist that had painted.
Right. So the gentleman, even in New York, that people are so amazed about, it's him and others that are like that. It's another gentleman that they flew over Paris one time, and he was able to draw all of the detail that he saw, because, again, it's almost like their brain takes pictures. Mm-hmm. And whatever it is, they can revisit that area again and again and again and again right from their mind. Pros and cons to that, right? Because the same way they can take a picture of a good thing, they can take a picture of a bad thing.
Sure.
So, it's we got to be sensitive around some of that stuff. But the gentleman in New York is a highly talented, gifted individual. And again, all autistic kids, their gifts are very different. It's
right.
Identifying which one is their gift, and being able to focus on that and find the joy in that child and their abilities versus trying to make them fit into society norms.
Right. That's amazing. So let's shift gears a little bit. So you're working to help people. Let's say my child was diagnosed with autism. They're now, 3-4 years old. What do we do now?
So you have a child that's 3 or 4 years old that's diagnosed with autism. My number one thing I always say, if those of you who've ever been on an airplane, they always tell the person that's sitting there to put the mask on them first. If they have a lap child or an elderly person, place the mask on that person second. So I say that to autistic families, because autism takes you for a ride. You don't get the same support as you do. If my kid was diagnosed with cancer, everybody understands it. My job's willing to give me time off. There's
right.
a lot of oohs and ahs. There's bake sales. Everybody wants to cook us a meal. But if I have a kid that's diagnosed with autism, it's very different. You're isolated. You're very much alone. A lot of people have heard of it, or they think they know something about it, but you don't get the same level of support.
Right.
And especially because people don't really understand autism. So if you have a 3-year-old that's been diagnosed, the first thing is to take care of yourself. First of all, know that there's nothing that you've done or could have done to stop the child being diagnosed from autism. You are not the cause. You are not the reason.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, to identify the types of services this child needs. This child can need everything from nutrition to behavioral to occupational to speech to physical therapy. They could need all of them, or they could need one or two of them. So it's making sure that you're with a developmental pediatrician, keyword, not any pediatrician, because they think the myth is, it's a pediatrician, they can diagnose autism. No. Make sure your child's with a developmental pediatrician who can connect him or her to the services that he or her needs.
Right.
And then you have to be consistent with getting those services. And under the age of 5, all services should be able to come to your home. Okay. So you don't have to physically take your child somewhere. Those services should be able, through an early intervention or an intermediate unit, those services can come right to your home, and that would be great for you as a parent.
Right.
So.
So
I don't want to overload you, but those are the two best things.
no, that's absolutely great. Let's go back to the first one. I mean, do we find a lot of parents that think that they did something wrong?
A lot of parents. As a matter of fact, Jeff Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, great guy, supports autism a lot. He has an autistic brother. Back in his time period, and it still actually exists today, that a lot of parents think they didn't take the vitamins that they were supposed to, especially if you're a first-time parent.
Right.
They don't realize, they don't know, because they don't know where autism comes from, a lot of parents blame themselves.
Right.
And so they fall into deep levels of depression. We've had fathers, 2 years ago, we had over 6 fathers commit suicide.
Oh, my goodness.
That had great jobs, everything, but they had felt like they had failed their families and left notes saying, they can't believe, what this is going to do to their family, and they're so sorry. But, everybody has their own reason why they do things. But the biggest thing is for people to understand that they're not at fault. And just like anything, this is a diagnosis.
Right.
And living with a child on the spectrum can be challenging, but having a support system and understanding how to navigate the system and reaching out to organizations like ours, Jaden's Voice, then, we will be able to help support you in those areas and get you connected to the services that you need.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your organization, how we can get a hold of you and what you offer.
So you can look us up online. It's www.jadensvoice, that's JADENS, voice.org. Or you can call us at 800-825-8950. We are expanding. We help now across the United States, but our goal is to expand visibility in the next first quarter of the year within 7 additional states, where we would have partners within those states that can touch and feel and talk to the parents directly versus just on the phone.
Right.
And, we always are in need of support or services. So if people ask us, hey, how can I help your organization? I don't care if you donate $5 or you donate $500. 100% of the money that goes to the organization goes to support our family's needs. And that could be anything from advocacy to therapy.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's man, I'm glad you're out there doing this work. And, I think it's so important for families to recognize there is no blame here. There is a burden to bear potentially. It could be an enormous blessing. People can take it and make something wonderful out of it, certainly for their own family. And then to seek out the resources that they need that can help them to deal with these issues and to manage the challenges. I mean, get a hold of Terry Matthews. Go to jadensvoice.org. Give us that 800 number again, Terry.
It's 1-800-825-8950. And again, you can visit us at www.jadensvoice.org. And they can
donate, on the website?
Yes.
Yeah, make donations. I mean, I encourage everybody to do that because this is an issue that you killed me when you said people, that there were some men last year that took their own lives over this. This is nonsense.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
We left up a lot for our men. I mean, even police officers or military personnel, we help a lot our military personnel because oftentimes they're stationed where they can't access resources and there's nothing on their military bases. So it's a big issue for us. And for people who are fighting for our country, it burdens my heart to know that their family that's left here can't access resources and get things that they need, especially when their loved one is now overseas. So you have a lot of single parents, whether it be the mom and or the dad, that's at home on that military base trying to navigate and get systems and services. And we all know that our military don't make a lot of money. Yeah. So there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with that, and military benefits don't cover autism things. So your donations go to help our military families be able to access resources and provide in-house resources for them so that we can help them and also provide them support groups.
That's amazing.
So that they're not alone.
That's amazing. Terry, we're just about out of time. Thank you so much for coming on. You're a breath of fresh air. You're going to help a lot of people this Monday morning and during this holiday season. God bless you. This is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show, and we'll be right back.
Z Talk Radio, 1050 AM.
Some combinations were just meant to go together. Chips and salsa, refrigerator and freezer, the internet, and those cute little cat videos. At State Farm, there's another combination meant to go together. Home and auto. As in combining your home and auto insurance with one agent. Which leads to another combination, saving dollars and cents. Your State Farm agent, the DeSalvo Insurance Agency, is here to help life go right. Combine home and auto and see how much you can save. For more information, call the DeSalvo Insurance Agency at 310-553-0241 in Beverly Hills, or find him on the web at BillDeSalvo.com. That's BILLDISALVO.com.
Hi, this is Donald Carpenter. You know, I've written a pretty interesting book. It's called The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, How to Defend Your Family in Any Economy. To pick up a copy of The Family Man's Stock Market Volatility Survival Guide, go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or the website FamilyManSMVSG.com.
We want to share a secret with you. There's a new and revolutionary way to bring the Earth's most effective organic plant extracts directly to your skin in a pure and healthy way. Lule Botanicals utilizes a breakthrough process called supercritical plant extraction. Your skin will radiate vitality and health like never before. No one wants to kiss an alligator face. Now they won't have to. Visit us on the web at www.lulebotanicals.com. That's LOULEBOTANICALS.com. To get your 20% discount, use promo code LLB20.
Dr. Tatsuo Hirano asks, why suffer and ignore your pain and illness? Stop it before it gets out of control. Acupuncture is like fresh air, revitalizing your body and mind. Dr. Tatsuo Hirano, renowned acupuncturist to the stars and world-class performing artists, will help you get back to optimum health. To explore the healing arts of Oriental medicine, call Dr. Hirano at 818-244-2287. The first 20 callers will receive 10% off their first visit. Just say Donald Carpenter sent you.
Berndorf Law Offices, located in Los Angeles, is an employment, counseling, and litigation boutique law firm for California employers and executives. Employment laws change almost daily, and penalties for noncompliance are substantial. If you're an employer in Southern California and need assistance navigating the waters of employee relations, legal aspects of human resources management, or need defense against a lawsuit, our lawyers can help. Find us on the web at berndorflaw.com. That's BIRNDORFLAW.com. Or on Twitter at Law4CA Employers.
It's Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. I got to tell you, man, that Terry Matthews and her story, that touched my heart, man. It really got me. You need to go to www.jadensvoice.org and make a donation and help these people out. You can give them a call at 800-825-8950 and help them out. If you need help, get it. You know, she said the biggest problem with families that have the challenge of autism in their families is that they blame themselves, and that some people are even taking their lives over that blame. Stop it. Don't do that. Go get some help. See, it's not your fault. I mean, that's the way with problems in general. You got to recognize the problem not as you can get out of it. You can find solutions. And so they have solutions. Get the services that you need. Go look for them. Find them. They're all over the place. You just got to get up there and find them and do it. And there are people out there that will help you. People just like Terry Matthews, whose heart is in the right place and will do good work to help you and your family. jadensvoice.org, and you can call them at 800-825-8950. Oh, my goodness. God bless all those afflicted with autism or any other ailment, and man, especially Terry Matthews and the good work that she's doing. Okay, so we're in the fourth segment. Got to switch gears. I'd like to talk about that for the rest of my life, but right now we're going to talk about finances. Anything I say about markets and investing is presented for informational purposes only. The information I give is not a recommendation to buy or sell any security or any investment. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm not giving you accounting advice, and I'm not giving you investment advice. All investments have risk. All investments can go up and down in price. You need to consult your own financial professional before investing. If you want to chat with me, call me 310-777-6777. Be happy to get you on the straight and narrow financially. So what happened last week? I love asking that question this year because the S&P 500 on Friday hit a brand new, super fresh, all-time high. Man, if you had listened to me November of 2016, you might have made some money this year because it's been the best year in my career for my clients. They're doing all right. You can call me 310-777-6777. So, well, what happened last week in the markets? I mean, the dollar was up 1.1% last week. It's been up 2.8% over the last 3 months. It's in a neutral position. The euro-US dollar cross was down a point last week. It's been down 2.3% for the last 3 months. It's also in a neutral position. The yen versus the dollar was down 1.1%. It's down 5% over the last 3 months, and it's starting to decelerate. It's going in the other direction. The pound versus the U.S. dollar was down 0.6% last week, but it's been up 1.4% for the last 3 months, and it's an accelerating trend. Commodities, the 19 different commodities in the CRB index was down 3% last week. It's moved back to a neutral position. It was accelerating, but it's starting to taper off. West Texas crude oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea, that was down 1.7%, but it remains in an accelerating trend. Natural gas, oh man, natural gas got hammered over the head, now 9.4% last week, and it's starting to drop. Copper fell 2.7% last week, and it reversed its accelerating trend and is now decelerating. And corn deflated 1.7% last week, and it's still going down in price. Coffee deflated 5.5% last week, and it's still going down in price in a trend. And cocoa is down 7.5% last week, and it's still decelerating, which all are good if you eat. I mean, because your prices at the grocery store should be lower. If not, find another grocery store because they're paying less. You should be paying less too. Financials were up 1.7% last week. They've been up on a tear, 16.2% over the last 3 months. REITs, according to the MSCI index, were down 0.7% last week, and they're down 1.13% 1.1% for the 3 months they've been down. And gold was down another 2.6% last week, and has been down 7.9% for the last 3 months. So today, the job openings and labor turnover report came out, and that came in a little bit, but the openings have been ahead of hires for nearly 2 years, which means the labor supply is pretty tight. It's a really robust economy, and the problem is that there are too many unskilled workers. So you got to go out there and brush up on your skills, get stuff going for yourself. There are jobs out there to be had, but you got to learn a thing or two. And man, if those internet practices I was talking about earlier any indication, you might be suffering your own productivity by going to the wrong website all day long. Anyway, Tuesdays is the FOMC meeting. That begins on Tuesday. The NFIB Small Business Optimism Index, the Producer Prices Index comes out in the Treasury budget. Wednesday, mortgage applications, Consumer Price Index, EIA Petroleum Report, the FOMC meeting, Federal Open Market Committee meeting announcement. They're almost assuredly have signaled in their daily hints that they're going to raise rates. The FOMC forecasts are going to be released on Wednesday, and that's a crack up because they're wrong 75% of the time. They're always behind the curve. And then the Fed chairperson, Janet Yellen's going to be her last press conference before she's out of the job. And we'll get somebody else in there who probably will be just as much behind the curve as all the other Federal Reserve Bank heads have been since the beginning of Federal Reserve Bank heads. Thursday, jobless claims, retail sales, import-export prices, PMI composite, Bloomberg Consumer Comfort Index, business inventories, EIA natural gas, Fed balance sheet, money supply Friday. Ooh, quadruple witching. Don't get scared. It's just options expiration. Empire State Manufacturing, industrial production, Atlanta Fed business inflation, Baker Hughes rig count, and the Treasury International Capital Report. So the market is going amazing. The economy is going very, very well. I expect this to continue, I don't know, another few months. It's just been gangbusters. It's absolutely fantastic. I guess Bitcoin started trading last night on the CBOE futures and options market. It's shaken off all of the hysteria. There are people fighting like tooth and nail, cat and dogs, whether or not it's in a bubble or not. And the people that say it's not in a bubble say, you just don't understand Bitcoin. Nobody understands Bitcoin. Anyway, but now we can measure it and map it and track it and see where it's going to go based on the money being put in and the money taking out and the bets and the direction of the bets. So it's going to be easier to track, and we'll see where it goes from there. Whatever you invest in, make sure you do it wisely. Don't do anything silly just because your Uncle Louis said to do it. So you know what? I got a list for you. Wisdom, understanding, counsel, strength, knowledge, piety or reverence, and fear of the Lord. You know what those are? Those are gifts, the 7 gifts of the Spirit. The list probably sounds familiar to you, but these gifts are more than abstract virtues that you hope will materialize in your life. They are practical tools that God has given you to help you build a Spirit-filled, victorious life. He has placed them in your spiritual tool belt, hoping that you will take them out and learn how to use them. One thing you'll discover is that as you take out a tool and try to exercise a spiritual gift, God will come alongside and help you. He will give you the strength to turn from temptation. He will bring to your mind a word of wisdom to use when a friend or a loved one is anxious or doesn't know what to do next. He will give you the courage to say no to temptation. Far from being abstractions, the gifts of the Holy Spirit are meant to be very practical. Try dusting them off and experimenting with different ways you can use them in everyday life. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for the gifts you have given me. Help me to learn to put them to better use in building up your kingdom. You know, that's the thing about it, is that people are like, oh, no, it's a myth. It doesn't work. It doesn't that. Their life's in chaos. They're bitter. They're angry. They're frustrated. And then you got a person like Terry Matthews that comes on and says, just trying to do the Lord's work and sacrifice and do good things for others. A lot of our guests on all of our themes are always centered on, if you can develop the wherewithal to surrender to God, develop a union with the Lord. What do you want me to do, Lord? That's the interesting thing. That's what that little passage I just read suggests, that God will come alongside you and help you. He will give you the strength to achieve your goal, to do the thing that he has asked you to do. And like Terry said, nobody's here by accident. We're all here for a purpose. Remember your purpose. Genesis 1:27-28. God created man in his own image. He created them male and female. He blessed them and said to them, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. Build community, live a family life, live a life of sacrifice. This is Donald Carpenter with the Family Man's Faith and Finance Show. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Have a great week, y'all. See you next week. God bless.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm Chuck Kamlick, CNBC. Stocks start the week with a pair of records. The Dow picked up 56. The S&P was up 10, both new all-time highs. The Nasdaq added 35. Apple's